Well, good morning. I want to welcome you on this Tuesday morning, a little bit later than usual, but I wanted to be able to get in our Just My Two Cents Really broadcast. And this morning, we are going to answer the question. Uh, what is the question? That's terrible. Let me see what the question is. The question is, if I'm forgiving somebody, does that mean we have to have them in our life and be friends again? I kind of knew what the question was, but I wanted to make sure I got it down. So, does forgiveness mean that we need to have that person back into our life and actually become friends with them? A lot of people have that idea. I don't think that's true, and I'm going to explain that this morning. Now, let's talk about forgiveness. What does it mean to forgive? Well, the root word, the word that best describes forgiveness, and we're talking about God forgiving us forgiving other people, us forgiving ourselves, is the word release. Okay, the word release. And I have a picture I want to share with you that'll give you an idea of what it means to forgive somebody. Now, here's what I want to say about forgiveness. Forgiveness is not forgetting. We can't forget what people have done. Okay, but forgiveness is taking the stinger out. Okay, it's not the memories that kill us. All right, it's not even the bad memories that kill us. Some of us have bad memories that don't really have any effect on us, but it's the pain of those memories that paralyze us and destroy us. So we got to pull the stinger. That's what forgiveness does. Okay, so forgiveness is releasing. It's kind of like last year. I used this illustration last year. It doesn't work this year, but I go flounder fishing with some friends. And this year you can catch, I think, one fish between 17 and 18 inches. Now you had to have last year over 18. So we would pull up fish 17 and a quarter, 17 and a half. And what would we have to do? We'd have to release them back into the water, right? I wouldn't do it. The guy on the boat would take them off of the hook, and then he would put them near the water, and you would see that fish swim away. Now you may not ever see that fish again. He might get on somebody else's line, but in all intents and purposes, you're releasing that person to move on with their life. And for you to move on with your life. Listen, once you release that fish, you got that rod back in the water. You're trying to catch something else. You're trying to move on, right? You're not really remembering the 17 and a quarter, 17 and a halves. What you will remember is the 23 inches, 23-inch fish that you caught or wish you could catch, right? That's what you remember. See, that's the idea of releasing. That's what forgiveness is. That's what I want you to think of when you think about forgiveness. Now, forgiveness is not forgetting, and forgiveness is not a process. We, by an act of our will, choose to forgive. Now, it might be a process to understand that, but it's not a process to forgive. We don't forgive over weeks and months and years. Now, we may need to have to keep forgiving a person over weeks and months and years, but it's a momentary decision of our will to release somebody, right, from our grips. And once again, not forgiving somebody is probably not even hurting them, it's hurting you. It's the poison in you that holds on to it. Bitterness is a poison, okay? And so we need to understand that forgiveness in the scriptures is never an option. Never an option, okay? It doesn't matter what that person has done to you. You have to live in the freedom of forgiveness rather than the bondage of bitterness. And only you can choose that, but it is a command. And I find people that live in unforgiveness, they go to church, they read the Bibles, they pray, they may even witness to other people, but they haven't let go, they haven't released the person who has hurt them. Okay? So I want to encourage you in Jesus' name, if all this other stuff we're going to talk about today has little help to you if you're not willing to let go of people, let them off your hook. Okay? Once again, they don't deserve it. They may have hurt you deeply. But they're continuing to hurt you because you're in the bondage of bitterness. And so you need to renounce the unforgiveness and bitterness And you need to write on a piece of paper all those the Lord brings to your mind with names, faces. And I take people through this all the time. And it's amazing to me. Some people will fill up a page, 25, 30 people. And I want to say this, that if you, I believe having unforgiveness towards a person is like a disease. It's an emotional and a spiritual disease, which becomes physiologically, by the way, powerful in our lives because uh, unforgiveness is turned in on our bodies. Okay. And enough of that, but I think you get the picture. Here's the point. The point is, okay, that we're releasing people and it's like a disease. Now, if you had 25 diseases, would you be alive? If you had two diseases, would you be alive? Maybe. But you're not going to be alive for long. Are they treatable? Yeah. And we treat our bitterness and unforgiveness with spiritual things, with substances, with vacations, with pleasure, right? And we keep burying it, right? We keep burying it. We treat it, but the root is never dealt with. Eventually, it's going to get us, and it paralyzes us, and we can be dead while we live just by not forgiving other people. So to answer the question, we had to go there because now we push off the dock and we answer the question. Now that we've forgiven somebody, do we have to give them um, friendship again? Do we have to spend time with them again? Do we have to act like nothing has ever happened in our lives? Do we have to act like they're our bud now? No, no. I like to say it this way. This isn't my original thing, but I say it all the time, and I believe it. Forgiveness offered, access denied. Forgiveness offered, access denied. Now, what does that mean? It means we don't have the responsibility. We are not bound to allow people who have hurt us back into our life. We're not. Okay? That doesn't mean we think ill of them. It doesn't mean that at times we won't pray for them. It doesn't mean we don't have compassion for them. Because I believe the Lord gives all of those things to someone who forgives. But it does not mean that we have to have them back in our life. That's our choice. Okay? That's our choice. And the scriptures and psychologists call this boundaries. Right? Let me read something about boundaries that I read from somebody. It says boundaries aren't about shoving people away. Boundaries help us love others well without losing the best of who we are. I like that. Right? And so we have to have boundaries. What are the boundaries? The boundaries are, listen, you don't have to be in my life. And if you are, here's the rules. Okay? That doesn't mean we can't have people that have deeply hurt us back into our life. I'm not saying that at all today. That's your choice. If you want them back into your life, that's fine and dandy. You just have to be careful, right? Not only careful about what they may do, but careful about what you may do. All right. And boundaries are so important. And so we need to have boundaries in all of life. And one of the reasons why things happen to us or we do things that are stupid is because we don't have boundaries. Okay. We don't have places where people can come and people can go or people can never come or go. See? And that's our choice. It's not wrong to not have a person who's hurt you access into your life. It's not wrong at all. It's not wrong to not be friends. It's not wrong to give them an opportunity again in your life to hurt you. Nothing's wrong with that. Okay, that's called boundaries. Now, once again, if you want to do that, that's up to you between you and the Lord. But you should not feel guilty about having wonderful thoughts about a person who has deeply hurt you. Maybe they've abused you or rejected you or betrayed you or done any number of things that have set you on a course that has been traumatic, right? And there's no reason why we have to allow that again to happen, especially if those people that we've forgiven are still involved in this type of lifestyle. Okay. We certainly don't want to give them another chance in our lives to hurt us again. Now, the truth of the matter is, relationships are risky, aren't they? They're risky. Love is vulnerable, but it doesn't mean we don't love. It doesn't mean we don't have relationships. It doesn't mean we're not going to be hurt again. It doesn't mean that we are going to be hurt again. But it just means that we have boundaries, and it means that we can give people forgiveness, and we must forgive people, not only because it's commanded by God, but it's for good for us. But also, we can also deny access into our lives, and that's okay. Some of you have been beating yourselves up because you don't have this wonderful view of somebody who deeply hurt you. You don't have to. Now, I would encourage you to pray for them because they probably didn't know what they were doing when they did what they did. Maybe they still don't know what they're doing. And though it hurt you, and though it was real, and though it was painful, pray for them that God would get a hold of their lives. And also, I would encourage you to allow the compassion that God gives you for them. Okay? That's not abnormal. You might think, well, I'm just a pushover, right? I'm just somebody who just kind of, I just like to get hurt. I like people just to use me and abuse me, and now I feel bad for them. We're not talking about self pity here. We're talking about compassion. There's a difference. Self pity says that, you know what, maybe they didn't mean what they did or said, right? Maybe they did this. Maybe it was because they're upbringing. That's self pity. Now, God doesn't want us to have that. But God does want us to have compassion towards those people because they really don't know what they're doing. Because if they did, and they loved, and they had a good mind and a good heart, and they weren't deceived by the enemy, they would have never done that to you. They would have never said that to you. And so we need to have compassion on those people and pray for them. Now, it doesn't mean we're going to pray for them every day. It doesn't mean we're going to pray for them multiple times a day. It doesn't mean that when we're around these people, if we have to be around them, that we're going to feel great. Okay? But it does mean that we've let them off our hook. We've released them. And now we have boundaries. And those boundaries are between us and the Lord. And whatever boundaries we have, listen now, this is the last thing I'll say. Whatever boundaries we have are okay. They're right. They're good. They're comfortable for us. Those boundaries might get pushed out a little bit more as we go along, or they might get tightened as we go along. But that's between you and the Lord. Don't let anybody tell you you're wrong for your boundaries. The problem often is that we're wrong for not having boundaries. Well, I hope that challenged you. I hope it brought some clearance to you, some clarity, some freedom, right? Understanding that forgiveness is granted, but it's okay to say that access is denied, even for those who are closest to us. Well, God bless you on this Tuesday. Serve the Lord, and Lord